Hey, Oscar, welcome to the Locker Room podcast.
Woo! Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Of course, excited to have you. We've known each other for a very long time, and
Oh,
so excited for all of the dancers to get to know you a little bit more. For those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you?
oh, yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name's Oscar Big O Hernandez. I am from Phoenix, Arizona, but now I locate here in New Mexico. I am a dancer, choreographer. I started dancing by the age of 4, got into cheer and dance, which got me into the pro world. Then from there, I just started coaching for about 22 years. Oh, I've been in the scene that long. And then just from there, just been a choreographer and just choreographing and doing stuff like that. And I did a couple TV shows that kind of helped me out a little bit. So I've been doing a couple of those. And so it's been great. And now I'm just Oscar Big O, the choreographer.
Yes. What
Yes.
was your favorite TV show?
I have to be honest, it was Ellen. Everybody thought it was America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
I actually had a lot more fun on the Ellen show. That
Is
was
it because of Ellen?
I think just what I experienced on the show, I wasn't competing because the
Yeah.
competition is just,
Stressful.
But yes, but when I was on the Ellen show, we got flown out there to New York, got to meet Justin Bieber, Mario Lopez, and all these amazing stars. So that was probably my favorite part because it was just relaxed and I just got to have fun.
Can you share a little bit more about your journey of being a dancer into becoming a choreographer?
Absolutely. I started dancing when I got into the pro world. When I started the pro world, I was 17 years old. I did a thing which I think the Phoenix Mercury Hip Hop Squad was usually during the WNBA, which is towards the summer. I was a senior in high school. I almost missed prom. But before I even got on Mercury, it was actually my sophomore year. I did what they used to have at kids camp. So 16-year-old Oscars dancing, I got a card from them saying, "Hey, when you're 18, come back. We want to, but I wasn't trying to do the pro world. A lot of people would probably be shocked. I didn't want to do the pro world. I wanted to back up dance for Britney. But being a 6'2", almost 300-pound guy, that's not going to be possible. So I ended up auditioning for the Phoenix Mercury Hip Hop Squad. From there, I made it my first time. But boy, oh boy, just like everybody who's a rookie, I did not know what I signed up for. At the time, I didn't drive. I didn't really know how to dress, didn't know how to do my hair, did not even know how to speak live on camera in this interview world. So the pro world definitely helped me with that. From there, I did the Phoenix Suns. And most people don't remember, like, now we have co ed dancers. Back then, it was just predominantly mostly female dancers. And they couldn't put me on a poster. Kip was our boss at the time. He ended up telling me, you know what? Since you can't dance, we'll have you do, which I do now lots, is just this little pop in surprise. Come in and dance with the girls. I've done everything from surprising from that. And that's how I started, just being like a surprise guest, just dipping into here. But people don't know that I was a dunker. Most people don't know that I was on the dunk team for the Phoenix Suns. I also was a ball kid. I was also like, I've done everything for the pro world. I started from the bottom and worked my way up from the top. From there, I did a couple little things here and there. My first time ever choreographing, I think, was the most scariest for pro because with the Phoenix Mercury Hip Hop Squad, even though you're a rookie, you still have to choreograph one routine for the whole team. And being freshly 17 years old, that's nerve wracking. I'm like, all right. So I choreograph and people loved it. They're like, wow, kid, you can really choreograph. Didn't even think anything about it. From there in 2005, I retired. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I put in my couple years, but I wasn't done. I got a phone call from another lady, Miss Hovey, who was like, "You're moving to Supersonics." And most people don't know that either, that I actually worked with the Supersonics back then. And I worked with them as their coach and choreographer. I also danced on their WNBA, which was the Storm. And I was the coach at the same time. And then I did that for a little bit. And then I came back home where I did all the training that I learned from the pro years. I put it into one of my schools that I was working at. I trained a bunch of kids in my neighborhood at the school to get them there. And you actually dance. I think you might have danced with one of them, Carla. Did you ever get to dance with Carla?
Yep.
So Carla was one of
We
my
were
kids
on the team
back
together.
then,
Yep.
and I put her on the team. I went back home to Phoenix, like I said, did the kids thing. And what are the odds I get a call back again from Miss Heavy, like, "You're moving to Warriors." And then I get shipped over there to the Warriors. And boy, oh boy, was that experience. That was one of the most memorable experience for me because I was there for 3 years. I got to be the junior jam choreographer and coach, and I was also the choreographer for the Warriors dance team. I got to do a lot of stuff. I worked really hard there. I got to learn different crafts, which I think when you're in that industry as a moving from a dancer into a choreographer spot, totally different, everybody. It is not the same. Everything that I thought, I was like, oh, it's just dance. Stepping into a choreography, it was harder. It was different. I had to learn how to do turns. I had to know rock. I had to know hip hop. I had to do Bollywood because it's just so diverse there. You have to keep up on your choreography. It wouldn't take long till we get another call and then we get shipped over to Detroit Pistons. And I ended up, that was my last year coaching for the NBA. And I think I did that for 5 years in Detroit. And then I ended up coming back home. And it has just been, I look back at it and I'm like, wow, I did all this stuff. And it just seems like yesterday, Amira. Like, I still can't believe that I met you, which people don't even know. When I went to the Warriors, you were one of our girls. You were the last squad that we picked before we moved. And I don't think y'all knew that. So what an honor. It's so crazy. And now you're interviewing me.
It's a tiny little world that we live in, this pro space.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, I did that. And then I also did stuff with Pro Action. So I don't know if a lot of people don't know that. So I remember being like every choreographer and coach, I wanted something more. I've been in the industry for so long. And just like the rest of us, I'm like, what else is there? I've been doing this already for 10 years. It's great, but I'm looking for the next big thing. And then I get called by a good friend at the time, Angie, who is the Cardinals coach. She texts me and she's, hey, have you ever thought about sending your stuff to Pro Action? At the time, I did not know what Pro Action is. I've only been out for 3 years. And by that time, I signed up. And let me tell you, I met up with Mina, and she's the queen, but she wanted my hip hop choreography. What, like, she kept telling me, what do you have? Give me more, because she did not know me. And then I do remember the day that I did get the email that I made Pro Action. It was the biggest thing because I had never done a convention, nor have I ever done anything like that. I only worked with the pro teams that I had worked for. So being able to get that opportunity to work with NFL to college teams to NBA, whoa, it was a mind opener for myself. I got to choreograph next to amazing choreographers like Shandon Perez, who is like a big mentor to me, and John Peters, Andy Vodka, obviously Mina Marina Ortega. I got that opportunity of working with them my first time. And now I'm one of the older ones on Pro Actions now. So I've been there for, I think this year alone, it's my 11th year. I've been there for 11 years. And for anybody that's watching this, I hope that my story inspires you, because I came from a boy just dancing at home in a park with friends who dreamed of dancing next to Britney Spears, who then did the big thing. I auditioned for pro, and I auditioned for the pro world, and look at me now. 22 years later, here I am, still in it at 42, and I started at 17.
amazing.
So I know it's been great, and I get to see so many beautiful faces that's come in and out of my life, whether I'm choreographing or coach. One of the funny things, Amira, is some of these dancers that I had back in the day, I'm choreographing their children. That's
so unbelievable.
Yeah, as you guys can tell behind me, this is all the stuff, like, and there's more, but like, this is just our office. There's a lot of pictures everywhere in here, but we'll get to that later. But these are all different teams I got to choreograph and dance for.
Love it. Do you have a particular performance or routine that stands out to be especially meaningful for you?
Yes. It is the time that I got a phone call from the Utah Jazz, from Ashley, the coach. I was really nervous because it's Utah and I have a lot of family out there. Most people don't know that my family is raised Mormon. So a lot of them live out there. And to get that call to come out there and dance was like, okay, cool. But I had to dance on Pride Night. And that was, whoa. And this was back in 2022. So I was very nervous. We had just came out of the whole pandemic. Masks were barely starting to come down. And being in this full crowded arena, I remember doing a skit. They want me to do this funny like dance skit. So they had me dress up as a fan. I'm sitting in the stands, and then I come up and do the dance cam, and then I win it. And then the dancers pull me on stage, like, come on, you got to do a routine. People are all like, oh, what routine is he going to do? Lights go off, hit it. It was probably one of the loudest performances I've had, especially for Utah. The performance was a hit. People were like, we loved it, so entertaining. And it meant a lot coming from all those people in Utah, because I was so nervous dancing on a Pride night, but they seemed to love it and the feedback was good.
That's amazing. Was there a performance that you found like super challenging or that was tough for you?
You know what? My other one, I think I was really nervous. This is an older one. There was actually two that were challenging, but the main one, it's with the Warriors. I did it with the Junior Jam. I think that was my most scariest one because at the time, this is back in the day, a coach has never came out and danced with their kids at an NBA game. And I remember we were talking to Brett, yeah,
Yamaguchi?
Brett Yamaguchi was
Yeah.
there, and you're gonna dance with the kids. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. He's like, all right, Oscar. And so I just remember the kids dancing. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but some of the kids on that team that I coached are actually touring right now. These kids are phenomenal. Those junior jam kids at the time, they were insane. They come out, they do their dance, and we dance to Shake Your Tambourine and Blow Yourself a Whistle or something like that. So we danced it, and I just remember coming out in the middle. I'm like, I hope people cheer. I hope they like it. And I'm dancing with these amazing kids whose energy is off the roof. So I come out, I do the dance, everybody screams. I was more nervous just because I was afraid of what everybody else was going to say, like the team, the upper management. I got a standing ovation and applause because they were like, we didn't think you could dance like that, nor did we think that you would even get this whole arena to scream. So that was really cool. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and like NBA fans are tough, right? Like they're not necessarily, and I think in general, you think that dancers are going to get this huge applause every single time that they do a performance, but it's hit or miss. Like they love the kids, they love the hardwood classics or like the
Correct.
older crew, but then
Right.
actual dancers or other
Exactly.
dancers, the crowd is not going to be super excited.
Right. That's a true fact. Like I've been to games where people are like, we don't get a lot of screams, but when I perform with these teams, they're like, that's what that sounds like. There's been times where I dance, especially with the Blazers. There was another memorable time. It was when they made the playoffs. I just remember everybody wearing white, and I still have this video, and I remember the whole audience jumps up because I do this jump split. They just all jumped up. It was insane. I get goosebumps when I think about it. But that roar of people just, oh, like you could feel it. And there's times that we couldn't hear the music. So we're counting one, two, keep going because it was so loud in there. So, yes, it's right. It's hit or miss with the fans. And especially you're talking about people who love sports. People aren't in there to pay all that money to see us dance. Let's be real. They're there for the sports. We are just the sprinkle in the on the cake with the entertainment. But every once in a while, we all hit that home run where the fans are like, whoa, that was awesome. So I love that I'm seeing a lot of these teams just not doing like what we used to back in the day, which is, all right, form a formation, dance, switch lines, pose. There's teams out there putting on a real show, production shows at that. So
Yeah,
it's really cool.
it's definitely evolved, which is nice because we are there to entertain, right? We're there for
Yes.
timeouts and for sometimes half times, depending on the league that you're in. It is a feature of entertainment versus a dance competition or convention where
Exactly.
everyone's
Exactly.
there loving on dance, right?
Oh, yeah. And as a choreographer, that can sometimes be hard and tough for us because if we hit these home runs for these teams, and then every year it's like, all right, what do you got for us, Oscar? Give us that new routine. Sometimes it hit or miss. So you always have to be like on top of it. And you always got to bring your A game when it comes to the choreography. And don't ever think about just choreographing for the dancers, you choreographers out there.
Yeah.
Remember to choreograph for the fans.
Mm.
That's the main important thing. I don't think a lot of them know that. You don't choreograph for the dancers, you choreograph for the fans. Because what their music is, what they're going to relate to is what you put out there. So make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The people who are watching you aren't going to be telling you you're not like, oh, you missed your double turn or oh, your kick's not high
Right.
enough. You are there to perform and entertain, and you can't just be a really great dancer. You have to be an entertainer to be able to make these teams
Oh,
because of
yeah.
what you just said.
You remember back in the day, I think we had to do just across the floor, look good, have body be fit. This nowadays, it's like, can you spin on your head? Can you walk on your hands? Show us your tricks. Like these dancers that's in the pro world right now are insane. And they're coming from a lot of these colleges and studios that are insane. So it's really cool when we get to see them audition. I think that's one of my favorite parts about going to these pro auditions is to see these new and upcoming talent come in and just bring in something we've never seen before or experienced.
Yeah, no, I think was it last year or the year before Ashley from the Jazz and I were talking. She was like, I want the whole team to have rubber bands this year. And I was like, I don't know what a rubber band is because We didn't have to do any of that stuff.
No.
I was fortunate enough I didn't have to do the head springs, the kip ups. You had like Maddie who could do, or and Megan who could do a kip up and a head spring, and they
Tumble and
stole the
all that.
show and they did it, and we just had our things in the
So they
background.
look pretty.
Yeah.
Let's face it, I don't know if I could make it nowadays. If I had to do that, I couldn't make it.
Yeah, it's a completely different level, and you have to continuously level up and be able to do some of these other things, and also do your research of knowing what's expected from you for each team.
Right, that's a very good one.
Speaking of auditions, what
Yes.
qualities do you feel like make a dancer stand out at auditions when they are auditioning for an NFL or NBA team?
Honestly, I look for confidence. I just look for that confidence dancer. I want somebody that's going to come in and give us a show. Like I've been on that end, but like you should know if you're in the finals, especially finals, like I get it in the beginning, but I speak for the finals. Like I have to go to the 49ers. I'll be at their finals this year, like every year. But when I'm at the finals, what I'm looking for is that confidence. Like you should be ready. And even if you're not in finals, you should always walk into an audition with confidence, like head held high, you're confident, you look great, you feel great. Because that's the main thing I'm looking for. Now, even how you come out of your dancing, say you make a mistake, how did you come out of it? Did I notice it? Was it like, oh my gosh, I look scared? Did you look upset? Were you crying? Honey, I've made mistakes on national television. You keep going. Sometimes I'm like, boom. My thing is like fight freezer. Like I'm going right into I gotta fight. Let's go. So that's what I look for. I look for that confidence. I look for that person that really wants it. You know what I mean? There's some that can be on a team and oh, they've been on the team however many years, and it's just like, okay. But I look forward for those new people coming in because they're fighting for that spot. So that's what I look for. I look for the confidence, execution of the routine, and just somebody who's living. And if I get up, like I always tell dancers, if you're dancing for people in the audience and they're not moving or stomping their foot, then there's something wrong. That means they're not vibing off of that. So I always try to tell them when I'm watching you, because most of the judges, we're there to watch them dance. We should be vibing with them. So that's very important. So you dancers out there, remember, confidence, kill it. And if you mess up, like all of us do, how did you come out of it? Come out of it with grace, come out of it. If you fall, come out of that, yes, and keep going. That's all we care about.
A lot of our community, when I talk to them, they say the biggest thing that they feel like is they lack confidence in
Correct.
XYZ. What's your biggest tip or advice for dancers who feel like they lack confidence? Because you have mentioned a couple times that you were feeling nervous about XYZ. You were feeling like when you've done it in the past, you've done some of these performances. So, what helped you still show up confidently in those scenarios?
What helps me, which people don't know, is I get nervous every time. Every time I could be teaching at Pro Action, I'm nervous. I'm teaching for you, I'm nervous. Everybody knows Oscar gets nervous, but the first couple minutes in, I'm like, okay, I got this. But I think my advice would be like, especially if you're coming into the pro world, you got to tell yourself, I got this. I don't know what it is for you, but sometimes I tell that little voice in my head that's you're not good enough, you're going to mess up, you're too old, whatever the voice is. I tell that voice, I got this. You're not going to do this to me today. And I get more of the positive voices. A lot of stuff that helps me back in the day was watching, this sounds weird, Royal Family. I would watch like other pro dance teams, just that stuff that got me to want to join pro. I'd go back to those videos and be like, this is why I wanted to do it. This is why I'm here. I'm not going to let my fears get the best of me. So stuff like that usually resonates with me if I look back at a certain video or just words of encouragement. Maybe call a friend that's, hey, you got this. Get in there. Don't mess around. We're cheering for you. When you come out, we'll be here. Let's go. Like stuff like that usually helps. But another true factor is for me is if you're coming to an audition though, and you don't have the confidence, then you're not ready. Don't do that to yourself. Really tell yourself before you go into this audition, am I ready? Did I do what I needed for the X, Y, and Z to prepare myself to get to this point? Because I've seen a lot of beautiful, talented dancers that you're like, they're going to come in and kill it. And they let their nerves get the best of them. And the whole time we're looking at them a little like scared, nervous. You can tell they're uncomfortable in them. And so it's just, oh no, don't do that. So that would be my words of wisdom for y'all. Be ready when you come out to those auditions. And if not, if you need that little boost, call a friend, write a video, watch a video, whatever you got to do. Put on headphones, focus on what you need to do there. Don't focus or anywhere else but just yourself.
Like putting on an alter ego, right? To
Correct.
pretend like you're someone else.
Absolutely. I'm still Sasha Fierce. That's still here.
Yes. What do you feel like are some of those most important things that dancers should be working on when they do want to enter into the pro space?
Most important thing is if you're going to try out for a team, make sure you do your homework. Make sure, hey, this team does like Ashley. Ashley wants the whole team doing rubber bands. I don't do rubber bands. So if that's going to be the best choice for me, probably not. So there's other teams and every brand is different. So my advice for you would be study, look at the teams that you want. Does it resonate with you? Do their values resonate with you? Because you can't go to a team and you're like, I was the princess here, but they're not doing princesses here. So make sure you know what team you're signing up for. And also what they're wearing is very important. You don't want to go to an audition and they're telling you to wear a certain outfit and you coming in with pink and their colors are purple. Like stuff like that. You're gonna come out for those teams. Really do your homework and really study prep classes. Go to the prep class. Did you do their prep classes? Did you meet the coach? Sometimes I'm from the old school. Here's a little secret. I would go and stalk some of their, not stalk them, that sounds horrible, but I would go and watch some of the heavy hitters on their team. Who are their captains? Because a lot of those captains have videos and you get like a little insight of what their life is just of dance, just from watching their social media. So a lot of them don't do that. They just want to try out for the team. But I'm like, you're looking at the team as a whole, but it's bigger than that. You got to do your homework. You got to study about if I'm going to join the Raiders, I'm not just going to be, I want to be a Raiderette. Why? Because that is a sisterhood. That team's just like the Dallas Cowboys. Every team has a brand. You got to know the names of the coach of the teams because some dancers don't know that. They'll show up to an audition and then when they give you those questions, they'll fool you and you'll be like, I don't know who the person is that's a quarterback or the main guy on basketball. You have to know those stuff. I think that's very important. So you got to do your homework. There's a lot going into just pro world and just dance. It's a whole process, I think, than just auditioning and looking cute.
Totally. We did mock interviews the other day, and one of my questions for the girls was, "Who's the coach?" And she was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "We need to know those things."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think NFL does it more than NBA. I know in Suns, they did more like basketball knowledge, but for Warriors, we never did any
Good.
basketball stuff. But I think for NFL, you could get asked who's the head coach, who's the quarterback, or the GM. And
Mhm.
so making sure that you are doing your homework, that is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle.
Absolutely. And also, when you're training, I think a lot of it has to do with training up and coming pro dancers who want to get in this industry. Whoever you're training with, make sure that they're more relevant, make sure that they know the details. I've come across a couple people who DM me and was like, hey, I worked with such and I don't know why I didn't get it. Can you tell me why? And they send me their videos, and I'm like, maybe because we're not doing straddle splits and we're not doing certain moves like that anymore. So a lot of these older dancers that probably came from our era are now teaching these younger pro, which is nice, but I would go and really look up a good pro, like a pro program, like Cultivate Code, obviously. Different real programs to get you where you need to go. Because I see a lot of girls, I see a lot of people out there promoting pro, and it's really, I think it's more of a money thing for them, or I don't know. But I just want you guys out there that are watching, if you are thinking of being trained by somebody, make sure that they're legit. Don't just put your money and your investment in somebody who's cheered many years ago because time has changed. And if they're not relevant, they're not current, you're going to miss on something that this team is doing now that weren't doing it back then. That's
Yeah.
my other.
There's been a lot of pro prep stuff pop up,
Correct.
and it's just getting bigger and bigger,
Bigger.
which you know that I'm part of that world. But it's just, it is, you have to make sure that you are being supported in the way that you need to be supported, and also that you're getting the guidance that you should be getting versus like someone who's telling you that you're doing a great job. They're not able to tell you the feedback that you might need or the hard truth.
Absolutely. And sometimes you got to check if those people have any dancers that dancer make a team, like those little questions. And probably if it hasn't, this is just them making quick buck and for you just to lose money. So be very careful about those pro scammers, I call them out there.
Yes. What would you say is a misconception that dancers have of what it takes to be a professional dancer?
Okay, so here's the misconception that you are an amazing dancer and you're automatically going to make it just because you're a good dancer. I think that's the biggest. That's always been the biggest one. That one has been there for years. I've trained at Juilliard. I am this. I can do double turns out into a cartwheel split, back handspring, walk on my fingers. Like with stuff like that, I'm like, great. However, you're also going to have to remember that you're going to be working with 20 some other dancers that are just as great. And you can't stand out in your own way. You got to actually be a team. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think everybody goes in there as an individual in the beginning. That is true because we're watching, but at the end of the day, it's a team. So it's just more about dancing. Are you talkative? Are you sociable? Are you kind? You know what I mean? Are you fit? Can you handle a minute 30 routine out there? Can you handle a timeout? Can you handle a halftime without wheezing or out of breath? You know what I'm saying? What are you putting in your body? What kind of lifestyle are you living? What kind of stuff do you have on your social media? Because they do social media as well. That is very big. You know what I mean? So any stuff like that, a lot of the misconception is I'm going to make it because I'm a good dancer. True, you probably might make it, but you have to have all these other check marks checked before we get there. It's the full package. You need to be a triple threat because they're going to have you dance, then they're going to have you speak, then you're going to go do promotions, then you're going to go work with kids, then you're going to have your own life. It's a lot, especially in the NBA. In the NBA world, it's long. If you live out of state, like your family, you ain't going home some Christmases, you ain't going home some holidays, like, and there's no crying about it. So cheer up, just enjoy it. So that would be the misconception is everybody who thinks they're a good dancer. I always get sad when I see certain people when they don't make it and they down talk the program or the team. And I'm like, wait a minute, but you wanted to be one of them. So don't talk bad about them because you might come back next year. And whatever you say or you put out there will haunt you later on. So be mindful if you don't make it. You should always say, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for whoever trained me. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be back. Or I
Yeah.
won't. But don't talk bad about the company about, they suck because I did the best. This other redhead girl didn't. Those kind of stuff will hurt y'all. So be
Yeah.
mindful.
No, this world is so small that it oftentimes
Yes.
gets around.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And they do call your other teams. So
Mhm.
if you're trying out for any of these pro teams, these coaches and they do background checks, meaning they will go through your social media and they will go and reach out to your college coach, your other pro coach if you came from a different team, just to find out who you are, what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
So be mindful.
We've had people come out of the woodworks just to tell us, hey, this girl's really great, or hey, you don't want this person on your team. So
Uh-huh.
like it is truly how you represent yourself
Correct.
better.
Oh yeah, and there's those dancers too that don't tell anybody because I know those dancers like I auditioned, but I didn't want anybody to know, just in case, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. Just make sure if you don't make the cut, just don't keep it silent still.
Yeah. Can you give dancers advice on how to improve their performance quality beyond them just having
Absolutely.
technical skills?
Absolutely. I'm still doing it now. I do it every day. I critique myself. I'm probably one of the hardest critique. And I'm being honest, this is me being full out there. I am my own worst critic, only because I'm a choreographer, I'm a dancer. I see myself dancing, rather be next to Amira or so. If we're dancing next to each other, I'm always looking at myself like, I could have did this better. You know what I mean? Just like any other dancer. But I would say, watch yourself, watch videos. A lot of them are like, how do I get better at hitting harder movements? I always tell them, watch yourself, videotape yourself performing, look at that video, study yourself. Whether you're learning a routine from myself or Amira or whoever else, make sure to videotape yourself, watch it back. Did you do the right arm? Is your head, are you smiling? Are you breathing? You have to critique yourself. That's my best advice for you. You have to watch everything you do. And then dance next to somebody who's bigger. If you're going to go to a prep class, I always used to scam out the person that's that strong dancer. Let me creep over there. And if I came with friends, love you, friends. But so I always like to dance next to the stronger dancer. And that's how I actually got better. Think about it. I like to choreograph wild stuff because of Shandon, because I was always next to Shandon watching. Oh, I love that. So do the same thing when you're going to prep class or whoever you like. If you're watching DCC or Raiderettes, whoever you're watching, go to their Instagram. Like Cash was mine back in the day. I love Cash. Cash was my DCC girl. Like I was like, oh, I want to be like Cash. Followed Cash, love Cash, sister of mine. But I love how Cash performed. I would watch that. Even though I know I couldn't get Cash one on one with me, I would watch her videos, study that. Sometimes Cash had a video with counts. Hey, if you want to dance, I would do it and then practice it. I wouldn't send it to her, but I would watch it, maybe perfect it until I got it, just to get yourself ready for that. Like, I think those are the little things. Don't ever be, what's the word I'm looking for? Complacent with, I'm good. No, there's always more room for all of us to grow. You should always be at that next level. Don't be satisfied. I'm here. Keep reaching because it never stops. You're always going to keep reaching for the next big thing.
I love that.
Mina had asked me that too, and I'll just say this real quick. I think for me, when I'm choreographing, I take it very serious. And what I mean by serious is if I have a class of 5, I'm gonna treat it like I have a class of 30. Every opportunity that has been given to me, I don't take it as I take it like it's a blessing that I'm still working, I'm still relevant because one day you probably won't get those calls like, hey, to work with your team. So everything that I take in my life, I take serious. And why is because I was on the other side. I know what it's like to not be a rookie on a team. I know what it's like to be a coach. I know what it's like to be a dancer that's a plus size that everybody's, you don't look like a typical dancer. You need to go to the back. Like I've been, doors have shut in my face. I've been told every different thing. So when I see all these dancers that really want it, remember, I've been there. And I think I've been there the longest. I've seen it evolve from what it was like in the 2000s, the 2010s to now. It's, whoa. So that's almost 3 decades. Oh my God. Pretty much. Yeah, I'm almost 3 decades in. I think that's why I have a soft heart for everybody because I've been on the other side and I want everybody to win. I'm rooting for all those people out there. I'm rooting for everybody. You got this.
That is the exact reason why the Cultivate code exists, because I was told no many times and to pivot, had to figure out, okay, what am I doing wrong? How can
Right.
I emulate what this team wants from me? And now there's so many outlets out there that it can get a little bit overwhelming. Truly, the reason why the Cultivate code exists is to support you in making it onto your dream team and giving
Yeah,
you the steps to do and the feedback to do.
absolutely. I love it. I love where it's at nowadays. Like, I was just thinking the other night, Amira, I'm like, how sad am I? Not sad, but you males and all you dancers out there that are coming into the pro world, you got an opportunity nowadays that it wasn't given to a lot of us. Like, a lot of me and my guy friends were like, darn it, if we could go back, I could have been a 49ers. Like, are you kidding me? Like the opportunity for me back then of being a 49er, there was no chance. That was an absolute no. Like they weren't thinking of having any kind of males on there. So to see where the pro world is at now, I mean, they got guys going to like what an honor it would have been to go to Pro Bowl as a like Donovis was one of the first ones to go as a guy, and then Driz now, like all these amazing guys that I've met through the pro world, I'm like, you guys had an opportunity that I didn't get. So I'm always telling them, live it to the fullest. Once you get that opportunity, ride it out, have fun with it, because sometimes it could be your first year or your last year and it's gone like that. So enjoy when you actually make these teams and think about how hard it was for you to get there. I think some people forget the hard work by their second season. They're like, oh, I'm this. I'm like, no, think back at like you were taking our classes and paying us to get you there. What it was like for you when you first started. I never forget that when it comes to me. And I always think about little Oscar when he first walked into the Suns.
Yeah, I posted this quote the other day of what got you here won't get you there.
Correct.
What got you here might not be the thing that's going to get you onto the team. My competition background got me to being at the skill level, but it
Absolutely.
didn't get me to actually making it onto a team because I didn't know what I needed to know to be able to succeed on the team.
Absolutely. And another thing is a lot of these young dancers, every coach is different. A lot of them, I see them come in, they're crying because they're like, this coach is harder than my college. You're right. That was college. You're in the pro world. Now I'm like, because now you're 18, you're not in the studio world, you're a pro dancer. Remember that every coach is not going to be the same. And you have to respect that coach because that coach is there for a reason. They have their own brand. You got to stick to it. And I think that's another good advice because some of these young ones like to, some of these dancers are like, they don't get it. They're not there to be your friend. They're there to whip you into shape. You're there to entertain. You know what you sign up for. So listen to them when they're like, hey, full out, go full out. Don't be like, oh, I'm tired. There is no time for tired because you signed up for this. So you got to do it, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that this younger generation is a little bit more sensitive, and I don't know how to fix that. because I am
Correct.
the least sensitive person ever. But at the end of the day, like you said, you are auditioning to be a professional, right?
Right.
And
Right.
being in the big leagues means that you are going to get constant feedback, that you are going to get yelled at sometimes. And instead of letting that feedback or those critiques eat away at you personally, you should let those like fuel you. Sabrina used to yell at me at every single
Absolutely.
game. For 8 years, I got yelled, or 7 years, I got yelled at
Yeah.
for everything. I got yelled at
Everything.
practice. I got yelled at all the time. And I was like, you know what?
Absolutely.
In my head, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
And then she was like, okay, there we go. And so sometimes you need that yelling to fuel you. And a lot of dancers, if you let that hurt your feelings or hurt your confidence, it will be a make or break situation for you. But if you
Right.
use it to fuel you, of this person's yelling at me or giving me feedback because they believe in me or they know that I can do better, and use it to
Please.
fuel your fire versus
Uh-huh.
like squash your fire, right?
Correct.
It can be a completely different outlook for you.
Yes, I think that's great. Don't take it so personal. This is dance. At the end of the day, it's dance. Like you signed up for it. You guys know what it's like. You guys watch dance shows. You've seen it. And a lot of these kids grew up on Dance Moms. If you can watch Dance Moms, then you should be able to get called out by a professional coach in the pro world. This isn't somebody that's off of the street. This is somebody who's been there. These coaches that you're auditioning for, they have experience, they have the connections, they are the head bosses. So a lot of them get upset with these coaches. And I'm like, no, baby, you just have to listen. Are you going full out? If you have to think about it and you have to question, well, it was because of the no, it's either a yes or a no. And I was a coach for many years. I was tough on my dancers, but I also called them out if I they also knew you ain't doing that. Let's do it again. And they didn't cry about it. They're like, you're right, Mr. Oscar. I'm gonna do that again. Let's try that again.
Last question for you.
Let's go.
For dancers who didn't make a team this year or they're going through the audition process, what is the best way to turn that experience into growth for the next audition that they go to?
Just like all of us, we've all been told no. I didn't give up. Look where I'm at now. Prime example. I look around. Sometimes when you're going through that process, you're focusing about you, like, oh, I'm horrible. I didn't make it. You're doubting yourself and you're downplaying yourself, like, I'm not good enough. Because that's what happens to all of us. We're like, oh, I didn't make it. I'm horrible. I'm not a good dancer. You're good. It's just maybe not your time. And you have to think like that. Not that you're not good, it's not your time. So, what that means is when the coach or whoever gives you back your feedback, what was wrong? Why didn't I get it? Take that feedback. You start calling Cultivate Coach with Amira or whoever you want to train with, and you want to go out there and you want to train with them. That's how you do it. You get back out there on that horse. You don't stop because somebody told you, hey, it's not your year. Do we just stop? Did you stop eating because you didn't know how to chew? No. You find ways, right? You're going to find a way. So I tell all these dancers, don't give up. If dancing is your passion, keep going. Say, for instance, I tried out for Raiderettes. I don't make it. Is that the end of me? No. I'm going to find another team. Okay. I'm going to put my other hard work into something else, but I'm going to come back to Raiders once I get this X, Y, and Z. So maybe you're not ready for this certain team that you tried out for, but there might be another other team that might help you get there to make it to this team. So a lot of these dancers don't know that. They think it's the end. Miss Amara, if I remember you, honey, you came from Phoenix Suns and went over to Warriors and then became the girl and then became a captain and now look what you're doing. Exactly. Prime example. This is what happens.
Yeah.
This is what happens to people who don't give up.
Yes.
People don't know that. We've all been told no and we've all
Yeah.
been yelled at. It made us stronger. We're like, no, okay, I'm going to show you. You're going to tell me no? I got you.
Yeah.
Cloud it is. Let's
Yeah,
go.
no, I
You
was on
remember.
Suns for a season, didn't make it back for my veteran year. And I was like, all right, let's move. Casey was like, you should really try out for Warriors. And I was like, the Warriors aren't even good this year. They were not good. And as a backup.
No.
And she was like, you should try out. And then I didn't make it back on the team. And I called her. I was like, looks like I'm auditioning this season.
Yes.
And then the rest is history.
You auditioned when you came to Warriors for us,
Yeah.
and then we left.
Yes, I know. And I think like you never, if you're told no for after finals, you never know what the no was, especially during because it's hard to get feedback back from coaches, right? So they jump right into season, but it could just be like you said, it's not your year, and it's not your year because of maybe your interview or your way that you show up on social media. It could be something that has nothing to do with your dance skill, but you don't have to necessarily be the whole package at the time of auditions, but are you someone who's moldable to be that person and make it onto the team and immediately be able to thrive in an environment that's super fast paced?
Absolutely. And I don't think a lot of people know this too. You're tall. We were tall dancers. That was the only thing we had to worry about is our height back then. Because a lot of the dancers were a little shorter, but then as somebody who's tall, it was hard because you're in the back, you're in the back. But I started working my way up in the front. And I love that about pro because in the studio world, they're like, go to the back, even. Pro world, they're like, move up. I don't care, cover them. It was nice when I got moved up to the front and I started looking, okay, all right, tall people representing. So for all you tall dancers out there, kill it.
Yes.
Kill
You
out
just
there,
have to learn how to get low. I had Bridget in front of me who was like 5'4", and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm getting as low as you, Bridget. Don't get too low
right.
today.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen, you guys got to check out some of these videos online of Miss Amira dancing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good. Those were such fun times at the Oracle Arena.
Yeah,
Days.
Oracle
Love
was
them.
best. Thank you so much, Oscar, for joining me today and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with all of our community. It was so great getting to chat with you.
Oh, I love you, friend. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
And if
you.
you're auditioning this year, good luck. We'll see you soon.